What's up, YouTube? Welcome to my In the Bag update video. This one is for November 2016. It's been a little while since I've done an In the Bag video, so I wanted to post one up while I had some time this week. I'm also not only going to show you what's in my main bag, but I'm also going to go ahead and show you guys everything that I keep in my throwing stock. So all my backups and that sort of thing. I actually came across an old podcast of mine where I mentioned, yeah, maybe someday I'll show you guys everything that's in my throwing stock, just out of curiosity if you want to check it out. Today's the day. I'm going to do my in the bag first, so if you guys don't want to go all the way into all the backups and stuff, once I'm done with my bag, click off the video. As always, you guys can stop watching whenever you want, of course. But if you want to go deep, see everything I'm holding on to, just out of curiosity, I'm going to go there so you guys can come check it out with me if you want to. Let's get into the bag. First of all, I only have one Envy left in the bag. This one's a 171 Neutron. It's the first one I got right after they were released, so it's a very early run. Envy is the one I reviewed. Great disc. I'm using this one for a lot of like wide open approaches and layups and stuff because it's very stable and consistent. I know what it's going to do. It's a nice overstable Envy. This one's also great for hyzer shots off the tee, putter hyzers off the tee. It's great for that because with the gyro technology, it kind of pushes forward as it fades, so it won't just drop out. It'll kind of sweep around, so it's a really beautiful disc for that particular shot. And yeah, great disc. This is the only one I'm still carrying. I'm not putting with the Envies anymore, so this one is all I need. It's also what I will go to for a headwind putt. Envy, good disc. Then I have magnets. I have this one. It's a thrower. It's like a 169, 168. Just, you know, kind of beat-in orange softy like I like to have in the bag. I pretty much always have one of these in the bag and have throughout the years. This particular one is the one I'm carrying right now because there's no real sentimental value attached to it whatsoever. And I dig it. It's a good straight flyer. I throw this one more off the tee, or rather more on approach than off the tee. But I will throw it off the tee from time to time if I want that nice dead straight, maybe like a downhill putter shot. Magnets are great for that. So I like this thing quite a bit for those shots, but a lot of times I'll use this as kind of just a little straight line approach shot where I need to be really accurate, maybe weave through a couple of trees and get up to the bucket. This is what I'll throw. My main putters right now are Jawbreaker magnets. I have two of them in the bag. This one's 170-ish, I believe. Yeah, 169, 170. This one's a little bit, goes a little bit longer. It glides a little bit longer. It's slightly more straight. So I use this one for longer putts and approaches. I've been throwing it on some approaches lately. It's working really well for that. But it's a great outside the circle putter because it just really holds the line. And then this one's max weight purple is my go-to putter. I'm super confident with these Jawbreakers. They just work absolutely perfect for my game. I love the feel of them. Like they have more, they're not as flexible as a soft magnet, but they have all the grip, if not more. So they're kind of like maybe like a trilogy medium kind of feel. They're just amazing. I just absolutely love these discs. This one, I feel really confident in it, and I've hit so many putts inside the circle since I started using these putters. I just feel really, really great about them. They're interesting that like I'll release them and I'll feel like it's not going to get there, and then it just holds that line, and hits the chains. Like it just have tremendous glide for a putter, and I just feel the most confident about my putting that I ever have in my life with those things. So I'm stockpiling them, as you'll see later on, and I'm trying to make sure I don't veer off the path with them because they're just working so well. Axiom Soft Proxy, last throwing putter I have in the bag. This one's kind of similar to a magnet in flight, but it's got that gyro push that gives it maybe a hair more glide. It's a very, very straight disc. If I wanted to throw an Envy, but I need a straighter finish and more distance, I'll throw this guy. Just because rather than kind of fade off like the Envy might at some point during the flight, the Proxy likes to stay straight. It's a great driving putter off the tee in this premium soft Neutron plastic. It's very hasn't changed at all. You know, it's very durable stuff. So I really like this disc. Super bright day glow color too. Is extremely easy to find anywhere out there on the course. It's always nice. So that's all my putters right now. Mid ranges. I got 3 mid ranges in the bag. 2 molds. That's it. I got the Wombat. This thing is kind of like an understable utility disc. I'll kind of use this like I would a soft magnet, but at longer ranges. These things glide forever. They're probably one of the straightest discs on the market. Out of all the discs I've tested, these things have like no fade. They just love to go dead straight. I love the Wombat. Great turnover mid-range. Great if you don't have a full stance or a full run-up, and you need to kind of just like snap something out, or you can't follow through, or you can't reach back all the way. This thing will get you distance without a lot of effort, so you can just kind of snap it or get a little bit of spin on it, and it'll float out of danger for you. So it's a great like disc to get out of a tricky lie. I just love this thing. It's really great. Also, my go-to tailwind disc. Even if I want to throw a driver, perhaps, and there's a tailwind, I might break this thing out because it just works really well in the tailwind. Phenomenal disc, glides forever. I love the Wombat, so that's definitely a staple in my bag. I'm throwing that thing quite a bit. Then I have two compasses in the bag. This one is just like a standard Sake Bomb signature opto compass. It's got a spin dye on it that somebody did before I got it. It looks alright, it's nice bright pink, red color. It looks good. And this one's real straight, and I mostly carry this one because a lot of the other ones in my inventory are kind of more sentimental or a little bit more special, so I like to have just a basic stock one in the bag so I can throw this in any kind of situation and not worry about losing it. The compass works really well for just all my straight to hyzer mid-ranges. So that one's in there, and then I have this one right here that I'm throwing quite a bit. This one's got the sweet Zelda dye. I love Zelda games ever since like Ocarina of Time. From there on, they're all like amongst my favorite video games as an aside. But this one, the gold line one, is actually pretty much dead flat across the top. And this particular one's like 170 grams. So I really like this disc. I throw it a lot. It's surprisingly stable considering that it's lighter weight. I don't know, I'm not sure exactly why. Maybe the flat top or what. But this thing's pretty stable. The compass in general is just a really great, consistent mid-range disc that flies mostly straight, but you can get it to hold angles nicely. You can hold a hyzer. You can throw it on anhyzer well. And for me, I'm throwing it mostly just like little gentle hyzer shots and stuff. And this thing works out really well. I love the compass. They become my go-to stable to overstable mid-ranges, and this one is probably the one I throw the most. But I like to have that stock one, again, in case I need to throw it in any kind of a risky situation. Into drivers, I have the MVP Circuit Signal. It's an extremely understable disc. Let me see if I can show you guys the rim profile on this thing without showing you my ink. So yeah, small rim on this thing. It's kind of a slow driver, almost like a hybrid between mid-ranges and drivers. But it's just extremely understable. It's a good roller disc, even though I'm not a good roller. I'm terrible at rollers, but this thing works pretty well for those. But I just use this if I need to go right. If I need to go right, I'm throwing this disc. If I need to throw something on a hyzer and still look for it to flip up and turn over eventually, kind of like a late turn, I can use this disc as well. Or I'll throw it on a hard hyzer and I'll really rip it. It'll still turn over and kind of maybe finish flat, depending on the power and all that stuff. But yeah, great disc. If I really need to go right, that's what I'm throwing this thing for. And I've had some really good success on turnovers with that thing. Then another kind of specialty disc is my Jade. This one is almost exclusively for tailwinds. Occasionally I'll throw it for like a really touch finesse straight shot, depending on the situation. It gets big distance if I want it to, but I'm mostly throwing it for tailwind distance. Just with the lightweight, it's like, what, 155 grams. Lightweight, it's got a little bit more of a pop top on it, and it's got some sparkle in there. This one I think is a little bit more stable than the average Jade, so I can throw it pretty strong. Hyzer flip it up, let the wind grab it and take it out, and it'll go for a long way. So this is my go-to tailwind disc. Really like that for sure. Then moving on to one of the newer discs in my bag that I'm really liking is the Thrasher. First run Thrasher. This one's 169 grams, 170 grams or so. I have a big Z Thrasher on the way that I'm going to start testing as well because I really like this thing. Ever since I started testing it for review, I'm just bombing it. It just goes really far. It stands up and go, and just likes to stand up and go for me. Extremely consistent. I have flipped it over accidentally a couple of times, but nothing that takes me, nothing that scares me away from throwing it, because every other time it just stands up, carries for a long way, has a nice, consistent, gentle finish at the end. And it's just a great disc. It's kind of like an understable trespass for me. You guys know I like the trespass. I'm going to show you those next. I still have 3 of those in the bag. This thing is like if I want to throw a trespass, but I want a straighter flight overall, a little bit less fade. That's what the Thrasher is doing for me, and big distance. So I've been throwing this thing a lot, getting great results on it, out of it on driver shots, and I'm really digging it. So Thrasher is a great addition to the bag. Then I got 3 trespasses in the bag. I have this one. It's an Air. Hey, stay there. An Air. This one's 155 grams. This one's probably my farthest flying trespass. Very similar to the Thrasher, I would say, only this one's a little bit faster, has a little bit less turn, and a little bit more fade, but not a whole lot. It's pretty similar overall. In fact, I've been kind of throwing the Thrasher where I would have been throwing this right before I put the Thrasher in the bag, but I still like this thing. I still throw it a decent amount, and it's a good flying disc, good distance disc for me for sure. Then I have my old pre-made in Sweden opaque lucid trespass, 170 grams. This is probably my favorite driver. I really like this thing. I haven't been throwing it quite as much in the last few rounds or so, just because I've been really working with that Thrasher a lot, hyzer flipping it and trying to learn that disc, but this thing is always there for me if I need it. I know exactly what it's going to do. It flies very straight up to speed, it has a nice finish at the end, and it's always stable enough that I can throw it about as hard as I want to. And I extremely rarely flip it over. Unless I accidentally twist it over, which is not something I have a lot of troubles with personally. The occasional time I do that, it might flip a little more than I want to. The rest of the time, this thing just stands up. It'll ride out a big flight, come back, and just a great disc. So I'll use this thing for more long-range hyzers and stuff at this point, and just a phenomenal disc. I love that thing. Then, probably the most overstable disc in my bag, actually, is this Prime Trespass. It's 175, and the Prime plastic is pretty stiff, but it's got a great feel to it. Good if it gets a little bit wet. The main reason I carry this thing is because I want to have a very inexpensive trespass I know I can replace easily in the bag, so I can throw it over water and that sort of thing. That's what I started carrying this thing for. It works well for that, but it's also very stable. So it's my most overstable trespass for sure, and probably the most overstable disc in my bag, period. It's quite beefy. It actually flies more like a enforcer than my other trespasses. I don't know if it's just the Prime plastic or what. I do know that I tested a Prime Witness at one point, and it was really overstable as well, and really surprised me. And I didn't even end up reviewing it because I was like kind of confused by it, and I wasn't sure if it was a fluke. After testing this thing, I just think the Prime plastic is just a little bit more overstable until you break it in. But I've been throwing this thing a decent amount, still haven't broken it in much. It's still quite stable, so I'll throw it into little headwinds, or I'll also throw it on anhyzer, looking for it to flex out, or for spike hyzers and that sort of thing. Nice overstable trespass. Then, last but not least, I have, I'm trying to like cover up my ink on some of these, I have the Culverin. This one is a really nice overstable control fairway driver that still gets a lot of distance. So if I want to throw something that I know will not flip over and will have a pretty strong and predictable finish right at the end and kind of skip back towards the left, this is what I'll throw. This thing's good into some headwind as well, and just a really nice utility disc that's overstable. I know what it's going to do. Good hyzer disc, but even though it's considered a control kind of fairway disc, it's not very fast. It still gets good glide and good distance. So I like this disc quite a bit. I don't throw it a ton, but usually when I break it out, it does what I want it to do. So that's my main bag. I'm going to readjust here, and I'm going to shift down to my throwing stock down below, and we'll get into that. Stay tuned. Alright, so let's get into my backups here. If you guys want to see how I made this storage rack, it's basically just a milk crate with some PVC rails that the discs can sit down into. I have a full video of this on my channel. Just search, I think, just disc golf storage rack or storage crate. Should come right up. Where should we start here? Let's start on the putter side. So, as we talked about with the Jawbreakers, that I really like them. They're working out super well. I'm going to try to make sure I don't do anything stupid and switch away from them when they're working so well. Which is unlikely. Usually I switch a putter because it's not working well, but these are just doing such a good job that I just want to stick with them and just maintain these. So I have this one, basically a direct backup for the one that's in my bag that's a little bit lighter weight. This one is too. So this one's ready to go. If I lose that other one or the other one gets too beat, I'll put this one in the bag. So that's why I have that. This one, direct replacement for my main max weight inside the circle putter. So there it is, ready to rock. If my other one gets too beat again, or if somehow I lose it, this one's ready. But mostly these two are just sitting on standby until I might, until I need them. Then I have this one and this one, just two backups that I got a good deal on from Matthew. So I put these in my throwing stock, in my backup stock, just in case anything wacky happens for whatever reason. Discraft stops making the Jawbreakers. I know I have a decent amount to cover me for quite a while. If I leave these aside and only put them in once the ones in my bag get too beat to use, I think I'll have a lot of coverage there. It should last me quite a while. Because I don't think they're gonna like break in so flippy that I can't use them anymore. I think they're just gonna keep flying straight and nice for me even if I break them in. Then I have this old beater. You guys have definitely seen this disc before. Super beat in, soft magnet. Still a great disc. Could come out depending on where I'm going. It's a really understable approach disc and tee shot disc, but it works well still. I just don't carry it because it's really inconsistent. It's so flippy. It's tough to dial in. This one you guys have definitely seen before. This is my oldest disc, favorite disc. It's kind of retired. I could put it in the bag in place of the one that I showed you guys earlier, but I'd rather have this thing at home with me. It's just like I'm a little sentimental with it, but it might come out every once in a while. I'll throw it in the bag just to have it in there, and I'll throw it on some approaches and stuff. But great disc. I would be pretty sad if I lost this thing. I've had it forever, and it's probably my favorite overall disc ever. So I kind of like to make sure I still have it safe and sound at home here. Then I have this max weight one. That's just a backup in case I need to throw that in the bag. This one, it's just the same again. This is a beat-in max weight 3-chain. My buddy's putting with the twin of this thing. I gave it to him, so I hold on to that one in case I need a backup. Most likely this one would probably end up in my bag if I lost the rainbow stamp that's in there. Then I got some Envies in here. This is one that I was putting with quite a bit, but I'm not putting with them anymore, so I don't need it. This one's a little bit more understable as an approach disc, so I don't really need that one, although it's still a great disc. And then I have this one, another softie. This one's probably the one that would go in my bag if I lost the one I showed you, that regular Neutron, just because it flies relatively similar, and it's a good disc for sure. And then I have this one, which is super sweet. I think this is one of the cooler Envies out there, and I've almost sold it a couple times, and then I get cold feet about it and say maybe I should hold on to it. It was like an ugly pale orange, but after I dyed it with some stripes, then I dunked the whole thing in black dye for a little while to get this like gray swirl going on. It brought out the swirl from the orange in there, and then it has the black rim on there, so it kind of looks like an MVP Envy rather than Axiom. Just a beautiful disc. I love that thing. So that I hold on to that just because I think it's really cool and unique. And who knows? I could sell it if the price was right, but I kind of dig that one, so I'm not afraid to hold on to it. Then mid ranges, two more Wombats. They're both Protostar for whatever reason. Both G-Star, both in the 170s. I like this one a lot. It's a really pretty disc, but they're both beautiful. I like the G-Star plastic quite a bit. The Protostar stamp is cool, so these are just on standby in case I need them. They fly very similar to the one in my bag. Then I got this thing at a local shop recently. This one actually might end up in my bag. Next time I go out to throw, I'm going to test this one alongside that pink one and pick between the two. This one could be the one that I go with, though, because I like the opaque Lucid or opaque Opto plastic, so this one might end up in the bag. But it's just a stock run I got out of a used bin. Then I have this one that I was carrying, but I took it out of the bag because it's got Ricky's signature on it. As much as I think it's cool to throw a disc that's signed by Rick, if I only have this one and then the gold line with the Zelda die in the bag, it makes it a little bit tricky as far as what am I going to throw if there's like a somewhat of a risky situation. I don't want to lose either one of them, so I kind of been leaving this one at home, but it's a good flyer. I do throw it. And then I have this thing, which is just beautiful. This is the backup for my gold line. If I lost it, I'd probably throw this thing in the bag because this one's slightly more stable than the others, and it's just gorgeous. Sparkle Opto World Champion Edition Sake Bomb Compass. Love this thing. So I have another one of these in plastic in my closet as a backup. Then some more backup drivers. I got another Signal in here. Flies exactly the same as the one in my bag. I just put this one aside because it's darker. I try to keep bright discs in my bag as much as possible. This thing is really, really pretty. Look at how cool, like, swirl in this thing, double stamp, like kind of Christmas jade. This one's actually pretty stable. It's a 162, and it flies significantly different to the one in my bag. This one is just like it's almost like a different disc. Pretty stable, straight flying disc. You know, hyzer flip it up, but it's kind of doesn't really have that super lightweight kind of flight path to it. So that one's cool. It could end up in my bag again. This one I would be carrying if it wasn't this color. It's just too dark. It's such a great flyer, but it's just really just too dark of a color for me. I have trouble spotting it out in the field, so I don't want to carry a disc like that too much. I did carry it. I do throw it. You know, it wasn't an issue, but I got that light, nice, bright pink one, and they're similar enough that it doesn't really matter. But this one's a little bit more stable. Great disc though. Probably my most overstable trespass other than the Prime is this one. It's 167 and it's got a little bit of a pop top on it. And this one's pretty stable. It's pretty beefy. If I was going to put together like a side bag, I would definitely make sure this was in there as like the overstable driver in the bag. And yeah, it's pretty stable for sure. I think it's because it's in the high 160s and it's got that little bit more dome to it. Pretty stable trespass. Then this is just another backup I found in the used bin at the local shop. You know, if I go into Disc Golf Depot, say what's up to Jerry and the guys there, and maybe, you know, pick up a disc for a review or that sort of thing, I always look through the used section, because if I come across a trespass or I come across an old magnet for $5 or something like that that I could add to the throwing stock that I could pick up for a good price, I'll do that. You know, that's also where I got this one. And this one was a sweet score. It was actually a pre-Sweden trespass. So this one is a direct replacement for my striped yellow one in the bag. If I lost it, this one would go right in the bag. This thing's beautiful. It's 170, 172, 173 pre-Sweden. If you don't know what that means, let me see if I could. Let's get a little lesson here. That should be good. Yeah, if you look on the bottom of this thing, I don't know if it's going to focus. You know, it just says dynamic discs right there. Come on, buddy. Work with me here. I'm not going to do it. Anyway, on the bottom of the discs, they'll say, you know, dynamic discs, and then on the newer ones, it says made in Sweden. On the early ones, it does not. So if you hear somebody say, you know, pre-made in Sweden, that's what it means. They're still made in Sweden, but they don't have the markings on it. So that's what this one is. It's early, opaque, lucid. Love this thing. So this one's just sitting, waiting to fly if I ever need to bring it out because I lost my other one. Then I have this Fusion one, which is nice. It's a good flyer. I just don't know where it sits in the bag, so I just leave it as a backup. And finally, I have a Moonshine Trespass that has the Candy LED module attached to it in case I want to go play some night rounds. I could always rip that module off there if I wanted to throw it in my bag. It's nice, just another nice stable backup Trespass. So that is everything, not only in my bag, but in my throwing stock. As I said, I have maybe 8 or 10 discs in my closet in plastic that I'm collecting. You know, I have another signed compass like this one, like the one I gave away to you guys. I have another one of these in there that I'm holding on to. You know, I have like a Protostar Rock 3, that sort of thing. Just, you know, cooler discs that I want to hold on to that maybe they'll gain in value over time. And then I have maybe 8 or so other just rando discs that are sentimental to me that aren't in my throwing stock. So that's everything I hold on to. It's really not all that much stuff. I just figured I would throw that out there if you guys were curious. If you're still watching this video, hopefully you guys can get out and throw some discs. You must be bored. But I'll check you guys later. Thanks for watching. Alright, cheers.